Let me turn this music down a little bit as I figure out. Got a little new system to help make this work a little better. Excuse me. Welcome to the show. It's Tuesday, the day after the 4th of July, when we celebrated our nation's birthing. Can we call it a birthing document instead of a constitution? I don't know. But I got to tell you, there's some people who are a little tired of that type of language. If you don't know what I mean, well, you will see not too long. Because a couple of famous people that, I don't know, maybe people don't think they're relevant anymore, but they have sort of stepped in it. And I'm here for it. Because, they have a little broken clock syndrome. So, on that note, how about we start the show? What the hell is going on there? That was supposed to stop. There we go. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog Studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P. Dog Night. Okay, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P. Dog Night on the internet. Welcome back to the P. Dog Night channel. It is Tuesday, the 5th of July, 2022. I almost said 2021. I don't know why I can't seem to keep the year right, but I'm close enough. That was 2022. I had a good save there. Hello, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am having a nice morning. I got up, went to work this morning, and everything was smooth, and got out of there in time, kind of, to get here in time, and had a nice 4th of July holiday. Very chill, because if you were with me yesterday, you know that we went up to a friend's cabin on Saturday and Sunday. And then yesterday, Lady Boomer and I, Laura, we just kind of hung out during the day. We're going to have some people over, and they're going to hang out in the pool, but it looked like it was going to rain. It rained a little bit in the morning, so we kind of canceled that plan. And instead, we decided to go to see the new Top Gun movie. And then we came home and just chilled and threw some stuff on the grill. But so we went, but before we went and saw the new Top Gun movie, we thought, well, let's refresh ourselves on the original Top Gun movie. I think is that from 1985 or 86 or some shit like that? I don't know. So we went on Amazon Prime Video, whatever, and it was free on there. So we watched Top Gun, and then we went to the movie theater and watched the new Top Gun. And I gotta tell you, the new Top Gun movie was really entertaining. I really enjoyed it. And in fact, it was better than the first one. Cause like when I was, I must've been in college when when did the first Top Gun movie come out? Let's find out. When did the first Top Gun movie, Top Gun, the original, 1986. Okay. So that was my first senior year in college. So 1986. And the first Top Gun movie, while it was kind of, gung-ho fun, cool flight stunts and shit like that, and kind of a little bit. Well, here's what I thought of the first Top Gun. I thought the first Top Gun was, it was just like a long form music video. It kind of, the plot was a little thin, but it was kind of cool. And then there was a point there where it got a little, what's the word? It got a little gay. I mean, it almost, looked like a movie they were making for for women and gay men because they were, they're all oiled up all the time in the showers and playing volleyball and stuff. And but it was an enjoyable movie. It had a little love story in there, and I never really got the appeal to what was her name? What was his love interest in the first one? The hell's her name? I don't know. Anyway, she was cute but not super hot. But that whatever. It was a decent movie, and it was kind of mindless entertainment, right? And so I think, and I'm like, okay, it was kind of fun though. Kelly McGillis, yeah, that's her. And then we get, then we go to the movie theater and see the second Top Gun movie. We're seeing it on a giant screen, and these reclining chairs. This is one of those Imagine theaters, whatever, where you get the giant reclining chairs, and man, I really enjoyed the second one, and it started out almost exactly like the first one, but at least they use the same font stuff, so that was interesting that they used a lot of the same, technical stuff. But man, it was just really good. It was a good story, a much better story than the first one. And it was interesting. They tied things in from the first one into the second one really well. And, I'm not going to give any plot points, but it was just really good. It was great entertainment. And even the, the requisite, they have to get the diversity stuff in there, whatever. But it wasn't, even the diversity stuff they put in there was just like, it felt more natural. It wasn't like they were trying to force that either. So they made it, it was interesting. It was well done, and a very good follow-up to a nearly 40-year-old movie. I mean, the first Top Gun was 38 years ago, 36 years ago, 36 years ago. And it was just a really well-written follow-up to it. And there were some heartbreaking moments, and, interesting that they got Val Kilmer into the movie, which if you're not familiar with Val Kilmer's situation, they still were able to work him into the movie. And it was just a really, really good movie. Now, I saw someone mention Iron Eagle. Was that you, Advocatus Diablo? You mentioned Iron Eagle, because last time I talked about Top Gun, someone said, "Oh, Iron Eagle is by far the greater jet movie." Now, I have a special affinity for that movie too, because Jason Gedrick, the kid who flies the planes, first of all, Iron Eagle is so more far-fetched, but still, it was kind of a fun movie. But Jason Gedrick, my freshman year at college at Drake University, lived on my floor in the dorms. And so I knew Jason back then, and I didn't even realize he was interested in being an actor. But also, and then a year later, Jeremy Piven also was at Drake too, because I remember playing intramural football against Jeremy Piven. I got to know him, and but Jeremy Piven was a theater major. Jason Gedrick was not a theater major. But anyway, Iron Eagle. That's kind of a fun but dumb movie if you really think about the plot. But it was. But this new Top Gun movie, I highly recommend it. Just as it's nice to have a movie that is kind of just. It's kind of an action, entertainment story, and not a lot of extra BS thrown at you. Not too many side storylines. I mean, there were a couple, but whatever. Very, very, very entertaining. So I highly recommend it. All right, let's say good morning and get the show started, because I got to get through a lot of things today, and not all of it's happy, but some of it. But I do got a lot to do here. So let's start with saying good morning to everybody first. First in the chat today, speaking of Advocatus Diablo gets the bell for being first in the chat. Oh, wow, that really turned down. I forgot. I just, let's try that again, because there we go. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. Good morning, sir. And you were first. And also good morning, Tyre Alexander. Maddie's in the house. Nice to see you. Somnambule Nation. Aaron Meredith. Man Squatch is here. Mike Savage. Blurg. Also, good morning to the Dogfather, 76. What's up? Who says, what up? Hard MFing bastards. As in, hello, bastard. Well, yeah, I call everyone bastards over in Bastard Stream. I got to get Hard Bastard on here again sometime. I haven't had him on for a while. I should do that. Also, good morning to Rachel Maddow's dildo, which we haven't decided, even though it is a dildo, it is a functioning vibrating device. Also, massager. It's a Rachel is very, let's just say it's very versatile. Also, good morning, Trippy Liberty, my friend from the internet. Also, good morning, Simon Wolfwood. Papa Hotep is in the house. Good morning, sir. Keebler, what's up? And now, let's see. Is that everybody? Jeffrey Russell Jr. is in the house. Nice to see you. Is that it? That's kind of it. Oh, and my favorite Canadian, Jaeger Pony. All right. If you like what we do, hit this like button sometime during the show. You can sponsor the show at pdognight.live. Share the stream before, during, after. Bring the noise. Bring the troops. Bring your friends. Bring your neighbors. Bring your mom. Anybody. We'd love to have them join us in the chat. Except for that dude from yesterday. What was his name? Jimmy loves cocks and he don't care. I don't know if we're going to ever see Jimmy again. I'm not looking forward to it. Anyway, also good morning, John Magda. All right. So let's just go right into the title of the show today because, over the weekend, and now look, I'll get to the Highland Park thing. I'm not going to talk too much about it because there's just not enough details. But I want to talk about a couple celebrities who had a moment of broken clock syndrome over the weekend, and that would be Bette Midler and Macy Gray. Now, I thought, now if you don't know what I'm talking about yet, maybe some of you might know what I'm talking about already, but Will It Forge, did I miss you? I'm sorry. Good morning. Iron Eagle, definitely a long-form music. Not as much as Top Gun. Well, maybe they both kind of are. The original Top Gun, I just thought, this is a music video. Anyway, Bette Midler stepped in it over the weekend, and I thought for sure there'd be one of these educating moments that people often have where they end up changing their mind, and because somebody decides to educate them, and so they go from wrong speak to right speak. Well, not so much. Over the weekend, Bette Midler sparks a debate by... Why isn't this changing? What is going on here? There we go. Bette Midler sparks debate by saying trans-inclusive language erases women. I don't think she's allowed to say that. She's a celebrity. Oh, now let me back up. Because J.K. Rowling's a celebrity, too. And now J.K. Rowling is just Queen TERF right now. For those who are not familiar with the term TERF, trans-exclusionary radical feminist, which I don't think necessarily J.K. Rowling would be considered a radical feminist. She's definitely a leftist, and oh boy, she's not having the trans stuff dumped on her. And now Bette Midler too sparks a debate. She started with a tweet. Let's see if I can find the tweet here. Well, there's pictures of the tweet everywhere. Here's the where the hell is it? Is this it? Right here. Here's the tweet that Bette Midler put out as soon as my computer decides to start working. Good Lord, what is going on? I need to rearrange my my configurations here so that my computer's this low. Maybe I might have to move my monitors to my GPU. Anyway, so Bette Midler said on her Twitter feed, "Women of the world, we are being stripped of our rights over our bodies, our lives, and even our name. They don't call us, quote, women, end quote, anymore. They call us, quote, birthing people, end quote, or quote, menstruators, quote, end quote, and even, quote, people with vaginas, end quote. Don't let them erase you. Every human on earth owes you. Now, very interesting, because that doesn't seem to be the required trans-inclusive language that some people are trying to push on you these days. And trans people are fine. I know some cool trans people, but look, I don't have to necessarily follow their lead on everything linguistically. So she caught fire on Twitter on Monday when she tweeted about the trans community and the language used to describe them. The Hocus Pocus star 76 described the quote that I just quoted. Twitter users, though, slammed Midler on social media with several arguing that her words were false. Really disappointed. Oh wait, hang on. I should have some appropriate music for this. I should have appropriate music. Hang on. Let me go in here. Let me go for let's do this. Give me a moment. Here we go. Well, what the hell happened there? What the hell's going on here? This is what I meant to do. And it's not working. Good Lord. Today. There we go. Really disappointed in this as a trans man and a Bette Midler fan. Bette, including trans men in the conversation about reproductive health, does not harm women. We have the same organs and even greater vulnerability as cis women. Another, Roxanne Gay, said, "No one is trying to erase women with inclusive language about people who need abortion care. No one is calling you anything but what you prefer. You should extend that courtesy in return." Another fan chimed in, "You know, not all women are birthing people. And not all birthing people are women." On the wrong side of history on this one. Hashtag trans women are women. Hashtag trans men are men. Hashtag trans rights are human rights. Somebody else explained, "As a woman without a uterus, I support inclusive language to normalize that trans men need reproductive health care too. 100%. It is not trans people who are taking away my right to bodily anatomy." I think she meant autonomy. "We are all fighting the same fight." Don't do this, Bette. Birthing people is language used to make sure we don't exclude trans comrades. It doesn't erase women at all. Okay, so look. Now, it's interesting because this article really doesn't talk about the people who were saying, "Hey, finally, someone's getting it." Midler's comments come on the heels of a hot-button statement made by singer Macy, who's also in the title today, which we'll talk about in a minute. But so Bette Midler did got some backlash. But she also got some support, which is interesting that the New York Post didn't talk about some of the support she got. But part of the problem is she was getting support from all the wrong people. So, where's some of these? I'll just go down and kind of look at some of these. So here's one though that was really, and I think I even singled this one out, didn't I? Well, I'll come back to this one because this one's extra special. But someone named Theo Jordan, why is size catering to these petulant bullies and losers? Why are we pummeled with this deranged gender cult shit every hour of every day down our mainstream channels? Nobody but leftist ideologues care about this toxic ideology. Just stop. Others said, when Bette Midler is policing her own radical party, you know the Democrats are in for a shellacking. Yeah, maybe. Someone down here, surprise, surprise, Bette Midler is a TERF. I don't think they're happy with her. Here's another one. Dear Piers Morgan, Bette Midler, Macy Gray, etc. Insulting trans people does not make you culturally relevant, interesting, or edgy. Educate yourself. Otherwise, you're just an asshole. Sincerely, Paula. Whatever. By the way, don't go after these people. Just if you want to go on the hashtag and just get some good entertainment, because there's people there are people ripping on them. It's funny. Bette Midler said terms like birthing bodies, menstruators, and erasing women. Isn't that what TERFs say? Like basically making a point to pit cis women? Pit cis women against trans men, or W/E. I don't know what that means. I'm not a fan of such language because it's awkward. But erasing women seemed like a weird take. Well, because don't you have to erase the word woman to put in the word birthing person? And let's be real. Okay. Just because you think you're something doesn't mean you are something. It's the silliness, the awkward and forced change of language is silly. And I see some of these hospitals and these medical associations, whatever, start using these terms, and they're just pissing off the women. And especially when you see it in there's a big, I've been reading a lot of sports debates about having trans women competing against physiological women. And it's just, it's crazy. So, like I said, Bette Midler's not the only one who stepped to it. There's a couple threads of Bette Midler. Also, Macy Gray, the singer. I said goodbye and I choke. Wanna walk away and I stumble. And really not, it's clear. And I'm giving you the idea. You know her. Remember that song? That's like, now she had, it's funny. I didn't realize she had some other hit songs, but apparently she did. I don't know. That's the only one I know, and that's the only line of it I know. It's the only one I can remember. But she's actually a pretty talented singer. I've seen her do, like, I think she did one of those like VH1 concerts once, and she's pretty good entertainer. But she's also one of these super leftist people. But then she goes on Piers Morgan and she says something like this.
What a woman is, what would you say?
Whoops. Because Piers Morgan decided to ask her the question, what is a woman? I don't know if he was going Matt Walsh or anything, but here's her 2 minutes with Piers Morgan.
Well, if I asked you what a woman is, what would you say?
I would say a human being with boobs. You have to start there.
Yeah, I mean, the dictionary is quite straightforward. It just says a human, adult, female, right?
So far, her definition is with boobs and a vagina. But what if they have a synthetic vagina? A design of vagina? Anyway, I think there's more to it. But anyway.
No, a lot of people, see, that's a little getting confusing. The whole he, she, they, that's gonna.
And I'm not sure why, really. It's a bit like this whole issue of transgenders in sport. It's not like I support all trans rights fairness and equality.
Me too.
But not where you have people born to obvious physical superior bodies.
Me too.
Transitioning and then...
Oh, Piers! He's putting out some fighting words right there. Superior bodies. Now, I think he meant that there are differences between the average physiology of a male and the average physiology of a female. Because I tell you what, one thing that I can't do that the vast majority of women can do at some point in their life is pop a 8-pound bowling ball out your front hole. So, but yeah, you know what he meant. He meant physically more capable of certain activity bodies that males generally have over females. Okay, I'm just he's
thrashing the women at their sport.
I totally agree. And I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got a surgery.
Because people do feel that there's biological sex and then there's gender identity, that you can identify as whatever you like in terms of a gender, right? That's the freedom we live in.
Absolutely.
But actually you can't change the mechanics of biological sex. They are what they are.
Well, just
even with surgeries.
Women go through just a completely unique experience, and surgery or you know, finding yourself doesn't change that. You know, being a little girl is a whole epic book, you know, and you can't have that just because you want to be a woman.
I mean, you know that when people like J.K. Rowling have said this, they get attacked, they get abused.
Well, guess who else is getting attacked now?
Mob comes suddenly. She gets called transphobic and so on. You might get the same for saying it.
But it's the truth. And I don't think you should be called transphobic just because you don't agree with, you know. I just, there's a lot of, you know, judgment and throwing, you know, stones at people for just saying what it is. You know what I mean?
So anyway, she's also getting hammered on the internet for this. Particularly on Twitter. In fact, both she and Bette Midler were trending on Twitter this morning. Let's see. We'll go into some of the barbs aimed at Macy Gray this morning. Now, but there were some people who support her. I know some of these people that are in this thread. LOL, pronoun havers are big mad that both Macy Gray and Bette Midler publicly stated that women are whole people and not just parts and pieces to be used by the male population for appropriation. Probably having a ugly cry about it right now. The poor dears. Yes, a few. Someone named Bessie Braddock, whoever this is claiming woman. I don't know for sure. Bette Midler's a TERF. Macy Gray's a TERF. Your mom's a TERF. Are you a TERF? Hashtag TERF, hashtag TERF Island, hashtag Team TERF. Oh, so Bessie is in agreement, I think. That sounds like it. Typical tactics of trans activists threaten a woman's career for simply stating the truth. It's not up to you, mate. Kudos to Macy Gray. So somebody here is like, here's the thread in question. Have you only got 10 question, Piers? Same to every guest. No wonder you're tanking. Don't ever say I'm not transphobic again. Total chicken. As for Macy, how to kill what's left of your career. Macy Gray says, truth hurts. Oh, Macy Gray went off just on using 2 words. Macy Gray don't give a fuck. Oh my. I forgot about that one. Macy Gray, truth hurts. Thank you for standing up for women's right to accurate exclusive definition and calling out the current men are women absurd nonsense. So she's getting a lot of support. Here I'm black and homosexual. I stand Macy Gray. No conflict. Besides, black homosexuals stand with our black brothers and sisters. Besides, you can't change biology. Oh, even some of the gay people are saying, fuck it. I don't care. So Macy Gray just don't give a fuck. So, but the most crazy one that I read was this one. And this is that same India Willoughby or whoever this is. And this is how it's an emotional topic. I get it. But I still think this is kind of wild. Listen to this reply. The fascist demagoguery from Macy Gray and Bette Midler this weekend hijacks a moment in which feminist values are crucial to advance the human rights of cisgender women, trans women, and all manners of queer folk. Stop. What specifically is fascist about what she said? Right now, fascist is something anybody who are, especially liberals, liberal feminists, whatever, there's a certain subset of liberals that will, everything's fascist. This has nothing to do with fascism. Okay? Nothing whatsoever. It's just stop it. Anyway, she continues, all of whom are directly under attack. Okay, this is that part of feminism that maybe has caused some of this, where feminism is saying that we are all equal in all manners of everything. And we're not. Humans aren't equal. And certainly, because if humans were all equal, then men would be actual physiological males would be popping out babies, and women would be able to would be able to best some of the world records set by men. There are physiological and what's the other word I was thinking of here? There's so many physiological differences between men and women that they'll never be equal. Unless there's there's going to take a hell of a lot of evolution for that to change. Because on average, men are more physical. The testosterone in men causes certain chemical brain reactions that make men less averse to certain types of danger. And that's all a evolutionary trend. It's all you can't change that. Anyway, let me finish what she said here. So that all of whom are so she's saying which feminist values are crucial to advance the human rights of cisgender women, trans women, and all manner of queer folk, especially those of color, all of whom are directly under attack. Yet Macy Gray and Bette Midler and a number of other traitors have internalized fascist propaganda, which highly agitated by the foreign intelligence operatives of Russia and China and the Vaja Emni Mabahith and Mossad, and have decided to pile on in the divide and rule culture war. What? This is a Russian operation, a Chinese operation. The Jews, the Mossad, the Jews. They've adopted attack tactics right out of the playbook of Goebbels, Stalin, Roy Cohn, and Jiang Qing. They are doing the fascist dirty work for them, and you're gleeful over it. And that will hurt cisgender women, other people who have a uterus, trans women, and everybody else in the patriarchist ruling class wants to keep down. Oh my gosh! It's a Russian conspiracy! I mean, what? I mean, that's like she pulled out all the stops. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Yes, that will be in the bookmarks today. Please, you know what? This would be a good time for this would be a really good time for my disclaimer. Should I do it let's do it to music today. We'll go hopeful but peaceful. Oh, wait, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's go here. Here's my disclaimer. Maybe. Oh. Turn it. Important. Oh, that's really loud. Let's try that. important. The people that I talk about in my videos and live streams are just normal people with various opinions and their own lives. I don't need help defending my positions, thus would strongly prefer you didn't contact them. If you have something new to add to the conversation, I would love to hear it in the comment section below or in the chat. However, if you feel compelled to reply to them directly here or on a different platform, I only ask that you do so in a respectful manner, as your treatment of them can also reflect on me, and they always figure out where you come from. So use your own name and don't mention P-Dog Night. I didn't tell you where they came from. All right, that's the disclaimer. Enough of that shit. All right, let's move on. But yeah, there's an article about Macy Gray here, and even this one, in Hot Air, if you're not familiar with Hot Air, don't let them erase you. Bette Midler goes, turf? This came far out of nowhere. Twitter users you legit wondered whether Bette Midler had been hacked. The Hollywood and Broadway star has long been on the cutting edge of progressive wing of the entertainment industry. So her tweets yesterday warning women of the world that people wanted to strip them of even their name looked far out of character. Don't let them erase you, Midler declared, ripping the use of trans-friendly language constructs such as menstruators and birthing people. One follower predicted wrongly, as it turned out, that Midler would take it down once trans activists landed on her. Whoa, we actually agree. Where have you been, Bette? Grabbed a screenshot because she'll delete this before dinner. Well, she hasn't deleted it. Macy Gray is basically saying truth hurts, and there's a now it seems to be a kind of an older women in entertainment thing, although there's some younger ones too who are just like, this shit's going crazy, shut the fuck up, we're not playing this game no more. So anyway, that's the topic of the day. All right, let's move on to more newsy items and things that happened over the weekend. As you may know, there was a shooting in Highland Park, Illinois, during the 4th of July parade. Now, it kind of reminds you of a year earlier when this happened in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and it stayed in the news for a while. But I don't know that it was in the news, but then it kind of disappeared, even though it was covered pretty heavily for a day or so. This one I think will continue to have coverage. Anyway, shooting sends 4th of July parade into chaos. At least 6 confirmed dead, dozens hospitalized. At least 6 people were confirmed dead and 24 more hospitalized after a shooting disrupted a 4th of July parade near Highland Park, just outside of Chicago, on Monday, causing parade goers to scatter and police to close off the area. The shooting began shortly after the parade got underway. Multiple people were reportedly struck. A Chicago Sun-Times reporter saw several bloody bodies covered with blankets and other people who were visibly wounded at the scene. Mass shooting. So anyway, this is the county scanner in that area. Talking about the shooting. According to law enforcement, the suspect at large is a white male, 18 to 20 years old. Now, they've caught this kid. They caught the dude. I think he's a 22-year-old dude. In fact, I will move on to that. By the way, real quick, hi, Kiever Dam, Murray J, Jay Pylon, and anyone else come in that I did not see? Asian Research Director. Nice to have you all here. So anyway, let's see. I think now, they do have the guy in custody. Here's what we know about the Highland Park parade shooter. And the Independence Day celebration turned into a deadly mass shooting on Monday. We already know that. Previous articles. Oh, they arrested the 22-year-old suspect. They caught him. Previous articles included the suspect's name because he was still at large, but due to Daily Wire's policy against publishing the names of mass shooters, his name will now be redacted in all future stories. He opened fire from a suburban Chicago rooftop that sent hundreds of parade goers fleeing the scene, leaving behind personal belongings like chairs, strollers, and bicycles, police said. This is very random, very intentional, and a very sad day, said Christopher Cavelli, the Lake County Major Crime Task Force, or of the Lake County Major Crime Task Force during a press update. Police recovered a high-powered rifle on the unsecured rooftop of a local business. So apparently he fled without the rifle. That's why he didn't get shot. Because already people saying, oh, well, he's a white guy. He didn't get shot. They captured him. Well, he didn't have his gun when they captured him. Before authorities took the suspect into custody, he was considered armed and dangerous until FBI agents spotted him at home in Highwood, Illinois, where neighbors said he lived with his family. A poster released by the FBI said the person of interest is a white male. So they caught him at his home. White male, 120 pounds, 5'11" inches tall. This is a skinny motherfucker. With a thin frame, the suspect also has brown hair with several tattoos, including 4 tally marks with a line running through them on his right cheek, a red rose and green leaf on his neck, and cursive script under his left eyebrow. According to reports, the suspect had a YouTube page under the handle Awake the Rapper. One video that has raised Twitter users' eyebrows shows a pencil drawing of a person gunning down a crowd in between a montage of shots featuring the suspect backed by cinematic-like music. Post Millennial recovered a second video allegedly from the suspect where he recites a poem that frequently repeats, "He is like a sleepwalker that can't be stopped." The post has been taken down since the time of the arrest. If you want to, I think Rakita had a couple of his videos on last night. When I was watching the replay of Rakita's stream. Photo evidence on social media displays law enforcement holding the suspect wearing a long black sleeve shirt, red undershirt, and a black pants, handcuffed and held face down on the ground. So they picked him up at his home. That's why. So all you people, see, if he was black, they would have killed him. Yeah, no. Why were there so many brothers in jail if they kill everyone black? Anyway, he was caught at home without weapons. Other documentation of the suspect shows him wearing a Trump flag around his neck, wearing a black hat. You all know what that means. Hi, Murray J. Did I say hi, Murray J? Well, I'm saying hi now. They had a Trump flag. But you know what else, though? He also had a tattoo from some socialist organization. So we don't know what this dude is. He's a fucked up dude. He's also be seen at a Trump parade where he's dressed like Waldo from the Where's Waldo cartoon book series. However, a Twitter account using the alleged suspect's artist name scrolls through what posts he liked on the platform, most of which indicate support for arresting Trump supporters who protested the results of the 2020 presidential election and rioted at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. One of the Highland Park shooting suspect's uncles told CNN his nephew showed no warning signs that would lead him to believe he would become a mass shooter. He told CNN he never saw him engage in any violence or concerning behavior. I bet he got bullied the fuck, though. He's 5'11" and 120 pounds. He's a quiet kid, he said. He's usually on his own. He's a lonely, quiet person. He keeps everything to himself. CNN reported that the suspect lives in an apartment behind the house owned by his father. To his uncle's knowledge, he never saw the suspect with friends at his apartment. The suspect's uncle reportedly told CNN his nephew wasn't working, though he worked at a Panera Bread before the stupid 19 pandemic. So that's what they know about the shooter. He is in custody. Fuck that guy. Excuse me. And, put him under the jail. Anyway, there's a lot of people speculating on Twitter and complaining. Everyone wants to decide what his motives were and that he's a Trump gun nut and all that shit. But there's a whole mixed bag of what they know about him. And I'm not going to feed into it. I don't care what his motives were, other than fuck that guy. But if you want to, you can go. I do have I will have this link in the tabs today. This is the hashtag about the shooting on Twitter with reports from Slate, Daily Herald, ABC News, Daily Beast, all left-wing outlets, and so on and so forth, CNN International. There's plenty of places to find information, but I say read all replies with a grain of salt. We don't necessarily know much about the guy. In Breitbart, though, Highland Park attack occurred despite a red flag law and other stringent gun control. Because, the big debate now is, we need more gun control. We need more gun control. In where he lives, a red flag law, a waiting period for gun purchases, licensing requirements, and numerous other gun controls did not prevent the July 4th, 2022 Highland Park attack. Mike Bloomberg Mike Bloomberg's Everytown USA for gun safety lists Illinois as the state with the 6th most stringent gun laws in the country. Moreover, Gabby Giffords' gun control group gives Illinois a grade of A- on gun control. Illinois has a red flag law, a waiting period for gun purchases, gun owner licensing, domestic violence gun laws, open carry regulations, and numerous other gun controls. A gun owner's licensing is done via firearm owners' identification cards. Only those with FOID cards can legally buy and possess a gun in Illinois. And the process for acquiring a FOID card includes a background check. Illinois State Police listed the process for buying guns in Illinois. If you want to read that, that's here. Cook County also has an assault weapons ban and also bans high-capacity magazines. In neighboring Lake County, the city of Highland Park has an assault weapon ban that also bans large-capacity magazines. So this gun, well, I don't know if this gun was illegal. All they said was it's a high-power rifle. But, you know, it's funny because when they try to define assault weapons, there are weapons that have, you know, wood stock and barrel and all that stuff that have the exact same function but are not included in the assault weapons ban. So you never know what you're doing on that. Anyway, so if you're wondering if some new gun laws would have helped stop this tragedy, I don't know that it would have. Let's move on. I wanted to show you this article on January 6th by Julie Kelly because remember we talked about Cassidy, what's her name? Hutchinson? Is that her name? Yeah, Cassidy Hutchinson testimony the other day, and I was talking about, well, there was some chatter that there were weapons, and Donald Trump didn't want to, you know, have the gun, the metal detectors and stuff around his rally because it just didn't look right, blah, blah, blah. But he knew there were weapons and blah, 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 blah. Well, Nomad, how you doing?
Stop. Hammer time.
Good morning. So this Julie Kelly has been the most prolific reporter on the January 6th coverage. That's not a mainstream media Democrat hack. I know that's super redundant. But anyway, to hear Andrew McCarthy tell it, Donald Trump's raucous speech at the Ellipse on January 6th ended with a Braveheart moment when the president beseeched his throng of weapon-wielding supporters to attack government leaders at the U.S. Capitol that afternoon. Last week's testimony by Cassidy Hutchinson, the junior White House aide who made a number of dubious claims under oath, has been accepted as fact by most of the corporate news media and never Trump pundits, including McCarthy. As she explained here, there's a link to another article she wrote. In response to leading questions by Representative Liz Cheney, sort of Republican from Wyoming. Well, she is a Republican. I shouldn't say sort of, but she has an axe to grind with President Trump. But anyway, Hutchinson claimed both the president and Chief of Staff Mark Meadows knew by mid-morning that the crowd was filled with armed supporters, but Trump nonetheless urged those alleged self-styled soldiers to head to the Capitol as the joint session of Congress was underway. In a clip of her closed-door testimony to the committee, the loquacious aide met 3 times with committee investigators, talking for roughly 20 hours, relying at times on a thick folder of notes. Hutchinson ticked off a list of weapons allegedly confiscated by 10 a.m. as rallygoers passed through security screeners known as magnetometers. Reading from her page in her binder, Hutchinson recalled a conversation with Deputy White House Chief of Staff Tony Ornato, who described the cache, the 2 Meadows, and her. I remember Tony mentioning knives, guns in the form of pistols and rifles, bear spray, body armor, spears, and flagpoles, she said. Oh, flagpoles. Those are dangerous weapons. She further stated that Ornato informed the president about the seized weapons, but Trump dismissed any concerns and instead instructed his team to take the effing mags away, referring to the magnetometers, Hutchinson claimed. Cheney added more flair to the dramatic scenario by playing radio transmissions she said were obtained from the D.C. Metro Police Department. One dispatcher reported that 3 men walking down the street in fatigues carrying AR-15s. At 14th at Independence. Another recording indicated a man with a rifle was seen near the ellipse. Setting aside serious questions as to why these men weren't found and arrested given their close proximity not only to the president but numerous government officials present at the rally that morning, if true, how is that Trump's fault? Why did Cheney assume the alleged armed men were Trump supporters and she had no other identifying information like, say, an arrest record detailing the motive of the suspects? Who were they? Were their weapons even real? Were they loaded? And my question is, wait a minute. If you're seeing armed men running down the street, armed men, wouldn't you call it for some backup? Further, the idea of armed marauders freely roaming downtown D.C. with impunity is absurd. The place was crawling with both undercover and uniformed agents from multiple law enforcement agencies. The implausibility of Cheney's story did not discourage the January 6th echo chamber room running with it full bore. Trump knew in the moments before he took the podium to give this rambunctious ellipse speech that the mob was armed to the teeth, including firearms, McCarthy wrote in the New York Post on June 29th. He knew that an armed mob would be headed to the Hill, yet he intentionally whipped them up with his speech. What's more, he intended personally to lead the protest march. The patent purpose was to intimidate. January 6th committee posted a tweet shortly after Hutchinson's performance claiming, quote, Trump wanted to go to the Capitol with the armed mob, despite warnings not to do so from his advisors. Representative Eric Swallowswell, always the victim, whined that lawmakers were sitting ducks on January 6th. The leader of the executive branch instructed an armed and dangerous mob to attack the legislative branch. Swalwell tweeted, we will not move on from this. We will not forget this. We will not forgive this. Good God, you little bitch. His colleague, Representative Pramila Jayapal, the chin from Washington, demanded Trump be sent to jail for attempting an armed coup. That's weird. The FBI didn't say that. Of course, it only would have required the most cursory search to discover whether a mob of Trump supporters, quote, armed to the teeth, including firearms, end quote, actually existed. If a conservative influencer had any interest in being honest with his readers rather than acting as a reckless propaganda organ for Cheney and House Democrats, said influencer quickly would learn that a total of 13 people have been arrested for firearms violations related to the events of January 6th. Only 6 face firearm charges in the Justice Department's Capitol breach probe. Of the 6, 3 men, Guy Reffitt, Mark Mazza, and Mark Ibrahim, are accused of being on Capitol grounds on January 6th. None entered the building. Ibrahim was an agent with the Drug Enforcement Agency and was off duty at the time. Neither Reffitt or Mazza attempted to use their firearms on January 6th. Both were arrested months after the protest. Law enforcement found firearms in the truck of Lonnie Kaufman, who parked his vehicle near Capitol Hill that morning after driving to D.C. from Alabama on the evening of January 6. It's unclear whether Kaufman attended Trump's speech, and there were no photographs of Kaufman on the Capitol grounds. When police confronted Kaufman, 70, they found 2 loaded pistols on his person. He has been sentenced to 46 months in prison after pleading guilty to 2 firearms violations. Holy shit! 46 months? It's almost 4 years. Christopher Alberts was arrested around 7:30 p.m. on Capitol grounds after police discovered a 9mm pistol in his pocket. Alberts' charging documents do not mention his attendance at Trump's speech or at the protest earlier that day, 7 p.m. Police also found guns and ammunition on January 7th in a vehicle belonging to Cleveland Meredith Jr., but he was not accused of bringing any weapons to Trump's speech or to the Capitol the day before. Meredith pleaded guilty to 1 count of interstate communications threat. So, just to restate for the willfully ignorant in the back row, out of hundreds of thousands of Trump supporters in Washington, D.C., and a few thousand who then walked to the Capitol, only 6 have been charged for possessing firearms, and 1 left his guns in his vehicle. That's also assuming Alberts is a Trump supporter. And what about the so-called militia groups who breached the Capitol that day? Roughly 36 members of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers face criminal charges, including a rare count of seditious conspiracy. Not a single member of the Oath Keepers has been charged with a weapons offense, let alone a firearms violation. In fact, those who traveled to D.C. with guns were very careful, as court documents prove, to leave weapons at their hotel rooms in Virginia, rather than to take them to the Capitol on January 6th. One Proud Boy, Dominic Pizzola, is accused of using a weapon to break a window, and he used a Capitol Police riot shield, not anything that he brought with him to the Capitol. The ringleaders of the Proud Boys, Enrico Tarrio, Ethan Nordine, and Joseph Biggs, face no weapons or firearm charges related to January 6th. Worst militias ever. As of last month, according to the Justice Department, about 80 Capitol protesters have been charged with possessing a, quote, dangerous or deadly weapon. Examples of those weapons include pepper spray, flags, walking sticks or batons, a helmet, a taser, and a fire extinguisher, hardly the kind of items that could be successfully used in overthrowing the government. Without question, a handful of protesters brought some sort of weapon to cause trouble on January 6th. However, several told me they brought things like pepper spray because they had been attacked or heard of attacks against Trump supporters at Stop the Steal rallies in D.C. in late 2020. But there was no such thing as an armed mob, let alone one armed to the teeth with firearms. This yet is another in the long string of falsehoods fabricated by the regime and dutifully echoed in the news media and conservative opinion sites, quote-unquote conservative. And as has been asked over and over, if January 6th is so bad, why do they have to keep lying about it? Yeah, there you go. Why isn't that working? All right. So that's another one of the main articles today. How much time do we have? Oh, I'm doing good for time. Holy smokes. All right, let's get into some other odds and ends. Apparently in the Netherlands, there's some massive protests. Now, this is unusual because now I don't usually talk about foreign countries a lot here, but I just found this one to be unusual. Dutch farmers in a tractor blockade protesting climate change restrictions that threaten farms. The Netherlands has been hit by massive protests as thousands of Dutch farmers demonstrate against the government's globalist climate change policies that threaten to stifle the country's agriculture sector. The farmers' protests are a response to Parliament's decision taken on June 28 to drastically reduce emissions, particularly those in the agriculture and livestock sectors. They are protesting against a proposal approved by lawmakers Tuesday to reduce emissions of pollutants like nitrogen oxide and ammonia by 50% by 2030, according to the Associated Press. The new emission regulations could devastate Dutch farm owners. The French TV channel Euronews noted that Parliament's decision is expected to lead to major upheavals in the country's multi-billion euro agriculture industry. So this is one of those things. Watch for this happening in a place near you, particularly if you're in the States, particularly if you're in California, New York, maybe Minnesota, Massachusetts, in the states where they like to follow Euro policy, but particularly in California, because they're really emissions happy right now. The UK's Daily Express on Saturday reported the raging farmers' protests. Protesters demonstrated in front of several public buildings with manure and a slurry after politicians voted on proposals to slash emissions of damaging pollutants, a plan which could force farmers to cut their livestock herds or stop working altogether. Prime Minister Mark Rutte's government says the emissions of nitrogen oxide and ammonia, which livestock produce, must be drastically cut back to close nature areas, which are part of the network of protected habitats for endangered plants and wildlife stretching across the EU. So, let's fuck with the farmers so that they produce less food and the price of food goes up, and they'll and then people can't eat. So the Dutch farmers are rising up because the Netherlands government just passed new green law attacking cattle farms. Well, you can eat bugs. Come on, man. Anyway, I just found it interesting because you're going to see this shit happening in a place near you. All right, real quick. Thank you, Tyre Alexander, for sponsoring the show. I'm going to go back to the old 90s pop version of music just so that we can make sure that the Streamlabs are more enjoyable. Let's see. Is this happy? Oh, no, this is kind of... Well, anyway, let's do this. Let's try this. Oh, that's kind of mellow. Thank you, Tyre Alexander, for sponsoring the show. Tyre says, oh, dropping a small bullet in the tip jar. I appreciate that. Oh my God, this isn't good. Trump is a monster. I heard he had Roe versus Wade reversed so he could eat more living black babies whole. Damn, that's harsh. I heard the poor SS agent was in critical condition. Liz Cheney is a noble knight. Oh, this is liberal Tyre. No wonder. I was like, that doesn't sound like Tyre Alexander. This is liberal Tyre talking. I heard that poor SS agent was in critical condition. Okay. And Liz Cheney is a noble knight fighting Trump, the vile dragon. Hashtag save democracy. Okay, liberal Tyre. I see how you are. And thank you for sponsoring the show, but we're gonna move on. Oh, Tyre, you're funny. All right, let's see here. Let's move on. Oh, did any of you see? There was an article in Salon. Now you know Salon is quite the leftist hackery that it is, and I actually need to make sure I link the article too because. Well, let me show you the article first. I'm just going to show you the title of the article on Salon. This is not The Onion. This is absolutely 100% real. I swear to on my mama's grave. An actual article in Salon entitled, hello, Richo. How Joe Biden is like America's founding fathers. And no, I'm not kidding. Well, I know that he was probably in Congress when some of them were still around, but you know, I'm just going to read you the synopsis I'll leave the article in the tabs, but I'm only going to read the synopsis from PJ Media. Monday being Independence Day, the leftist media is full of the expectedly ridiculous hot takes, but none are more overheated or ridiculous than that of Salon's Matthew Roska, who on Sunday published an article with the headline, quote, How Joe Biden is like America's founding fathers, end quote. And as if aware of how hair-pullingly absurd this is, he added, and no, I'm not kidding, Roska, who is not just a Salon staff wonk, but actually has a master's in history from Rutgers and is working on his PhD in history at Lehigh University, should have been kidding if sanity ever returns to America's academia. I know, big if. His spin on old Joe and the founding fathers could make Salon's House historian an object of derision and ridicule for decades to come. Yes, it probably will. To be sure, there are similarities between Biden and the founders, as we've had some fun in the PJ Media Lounge thinking about what they are. Matt Margolis said, yeah, he's as old as they would be. Jeff Reynolds offered, he's like Mount Rushmore in that his head is filled with rock. Now, come on, fellas, young roses. is deadly serious. He even leads off his article by fantasizing about his eventual vindication long in the future when people have forgotten just how much of a galloping disaster Joe Biden's presidency really was. Roskin tells the story of a young academic who wrote a dissertation arguing that founding fathers like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson had taken economic positions that by modern standards were highly progressive. Dismissed at first, this historian retroactively vindicated in his dotage, although Rosa doesn't say how much or how, which is a shame, as it would have been nice to know how someone pulled off portraying these founders as big government socialists. Hey, what was I going to... Okay, anyway, even in sketching out this analogy of his eventual vindications, Rosa slips on a banana peel writing, quote, "Far be it from me to imply that academics are just as inclined to stifle radical voices as everyone else in America with actual power," end quote. Ah, yes, as everyone knows, American academia is loaded with reactionaries who stifle progressives any way they can. But Rocha is clearly given to fantasy, as when he finally gets to his point, he states it in all its bald and unapologetic ludicrousness. It turns out his analogy of the eventually vindicated academic was not about himself, but about old Joe. Quote, "If Joe Biden's presidency continues on its current track, he'll be remembered as a visionary, at least on certain domestic policy issues, who was largely ignored by his peers." You have to read the article. It's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. But I think, isn't Joe old enough to have owned slaves? I mean, that he might have in common with them. No? He's got to be close. No? He's been in Congress. No? I guess not. Anyway. Well, sure. He didn't want to live in a racial jungle. Remember that? All right, let's move on. China is in the news.
China is asshole.
Apparently, they have a new censorship law to stifle free speech for foreign leagues like the NBA. Under the new Chinese law in sports, the authorities reserve the right to strike back at any country, region, or organization involved in global sports that's perceived as insulting China's dignity and interests. Yes, that is a quote. China has revised its sports law, making it easier for the communist regime to stifle free speech for foreign teams such as those belonging to the NBA or England's Premier League soccer. Media reports say the new regulations will allow Beijing to more effectively censor sporting events that place the regime in an unfavorable light or in any way displease the country's ruling Communist Party. Under the revised Chinese law in sports, the authorities reserve the right to strike back at any country, region, or organization involved in global sports that's perceived as insulting China's dignity and interest. Well, what if they whoop your ass? Like, let's say the All Blacks in New Zealand, they're playing rugby against the Chinese national team and whoop their ass like 70 points to nothing. Would that put the regime in an unfavorable light? Would they censor the All Blacks from New Zealand? I don't know. These measures will further tighten freedom of speech for foreign sportsmen, officials, and sports leagues that earn huge revenues by tapping into the lucrative Chinese market. I think this is aimed at the NBA, I think, because they're really popular in China, even though they don't like black people in China. They really like the NBA for some reason. I don't get it. Anyway, so Bloomberg reported on the tightening of the Chinese sports law. At the end of the long-awaited revision to the country's law on sports, the authorities reserve the right to strike back. I don't understand this strike back at any country, though. Strike back how? Can they start launching missiles or some shit? That's perceived to insult China's dignity and interest. The provision's timing is no accident. Over the last 3 years, the Chinese authorities have become increasingly unnerved by the rise of activism by overseas athletes, sports leagues, and brands. Unlike other forms of entertainment, such as Hollywood movies, China can't easily make censorship of football and soccer matches a habit. So if someone at your league, yes, I agree with you, Asian Research Director.
China is asshole.
So for example, remember there was some people at an NBA game that had the hashtag Free Hong Kong signs? And the Chinese people watch NBA basketball, and so they kicked those people out of the arena and banned them permanently. Yeah, that's what they're doing here. So anyway, if you want more details, the story will be in the links. Let's go move on because I have another story on China. Also, another reason that
China is asshole.
Apparently they've been busted for targeting Pentagon rare earth contractor with a disinformation campaign. Let's see. So this campaign centered on making false environmental damage claims against a company. There have been intriguing developments in the battle over rare earth minerals recently. China recently conducted a disinformation campaign against a company building a rare earth minerals facility in Texas for the Pentagon. And they centered on making fake environmental damage claims against the company. So you know how they have China has thousands of bots too. The cybersecurity company Mandiant disclosed the campaign on Tuesday, alleging that Chinese actors used social media in a bid to discredit the Lynas Rare Earth Limited, an Australian company, and other rare earth mining firms in order to undermine the critical supply chain for those elements. The Pentagon has signed an agreement with Lynas, the world's largest rare earth mining and processing company, to build a Texas plant. China has aggressively moved to dominate the global market for the rare earth minerals, which are indispensable to another cutting-edge high-tech products, from smartphones and flat-screen TVs to medical equipment and water treatment systems. The U.S. and its allies have pressed in recent years to develop alternative sources for supply and production, because China has, I wouldn't say they have a monopoly, but they absolutely dominate the market in this place. Well, some of the other countries are saying, oh, wait, we can't be relying on your stupid asses who, always try to censor our NBA players. So we're going to try to, develop some of our own technology and, just develop our own shit so that we can do it ourselves and not have to rely on your sorry asses. And so now China's doing some fake campaigns. For example, fake Twitter accounts claim that the Texas plant would produce irreversible environmental damage. Mandiant stated in a blog post report. The fake accounts also stated that the plant would expose residents to radioactive contamination and health risks, including cancer, gene mutation, deformities, and newborns. So all they have to do is to do a fake campaign. The environmentalists come out and say, "I'll start protesting," and it just it ruins these companies' reputations. So this is crazy. So anyway, all right. I never gave you one of these.
You are the new Streamlab Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you, Tyre Alexander. But now you have been surpassed by, okay, now I'm kind of confused. Somebody called Peter Smoker. I don't know who that is, but Peter Smoker, You are
the new Streamlab Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you very much. With a 410, which I'm not sure if that's just 10 short of 420, but I'm not sure. But thank you very much for sponsoring the show. Peter Smoker says, Taiwan, number 1. China, number 4. I'm not sure what that means, but oh wait, is that because of and this is why the green movement will doom us. China has all the rare earth minerals right and will do anything to prevent anyone else from doing so. This is true. This is the problem. They're good at messing with people in cyberspace. Thank you, by the way. Thank you, Peter Smoker. That's a very interesting name, Peter. for sponsoring the show. And you are the Streamlab Superstar sponsor. Okay. Anyway, you can read the rest of that article. I'm almost out of time. We're going to get through these. Oh, by the way, CNN This is funny. I got it. I have the actual article, and I'll read it, but I'm gonna read you a synopsis from American Spectator. Apparently, this is CNN. Wants you to know that recession predictions and declarations. Wait for it. Wait for it. Are, let me repeat, recession declarations and or predictions are racist. This July 4th, people have had it up to here and beyond, which will be news at Demented and Debauched CNN. Well, we might be at jump the shark moment for accusations of racism. We're definitely at jump the shark moment for a so-called journalist of This is CNN, as they slavishly attempt to defend the Biden administration. The Atlanta Fed GDP tracker has been forecasting second quarter growth of 0 for a while. Then early last week, it dived into negative 1.0%. And Friday, that got worse. It's now showing a negative 2.1% for quarter two. First quarter GDP shrank by 1.6%. So this would indicate a worsening economy and unquestionably a recession, which is pretty close to the case if you simply pay attention to the world around you. Now, what to do if you're at CNN? There's a little report here, but I'm going to skip that. So what do you do to, protect the Biden administration? Well, beyond the ridiculousness that things aren't that bad, spin by some Biden apologists have trotted out in the various media, now we have a preemptive woke discrediting of the government organ in charge of declaring recessions. Recessions are racist. So here's the CNN article. This is hilarious. Who decides that the U.S. is in recession? 8 white economists you've never heard of. Prominent Wall Street economists like Mark Zandi, investing luminaries like ARK Invest Kathy Wood, and executives like JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon can make recession predictions until they're blue in the face. But their guidance will remain just that, an economic forecast. That's because in the United States, the economy isn't broadly and officially considered to be in a recession until a relatively unknown group of 8 economists says so. The economists who serve together as the Business Cycle Dating Committee are hand-selected by and work under the umbrella of the National Bureau of Economic Research, a private, nonprofit organization. They have no predetermined meeting dates, and their deliberations are private. There are no fixed term dates, and the final determination of who gets to serve on the committee is made up by one man, NBER president and Massachusetts Institute of Technology economist James Poterba. There is a, excuse me. Sorry, I just had to do it before I read this next line. There is a clear lack of diversity among the 8 members, and NBER has never had a member who has been a racial minority, according to Gary Hoover, co-chair of the American Economic Association Committee on the Status of Minority Groups in the Economic Profession. That, the AEACSMGEP. All NBER members, or NBER members, are experts in macroeconomics and business cycle research. Each is over 60 years old, and they are all associated with prestigious universities. The group includes 2 women, one of whom is married to another member. NBER's recession designations are used and accepted exclusively by the U.S. government, businesses, investors, and journalists. But the idea, oh my God. So, okay, I'm going to stop there for a second because I'm going to go back to the other article. But before I do, so here's the thing. So these predictions, if they've been correct or, well, if their predictions are fairly on the mark as correct, do I care? Do I give a rat's ass about diversity among them? Especially, look, hey, if you just start changing to bring in diversity, wouldn't you artificially change what the variability of their predictions? Wouldn't you just want it to be consistent so you can match it against prior predictions versus actual results, prior predictions for actual results, and so on and so forth? So I don't necessarily give a shit as long as it's a consistent measure. And if the measure is fairly accurate, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to keep saying I don't give a shit. But it's just hilarious. Oh, my God. So what the CNN folk and the rest of the Democrat octopus serving as opinion makers out there don't seem to understand is that this stuff isn't even cute anymore. I agree with that. I'm back to the other article. There is real suffering out there. American cities are shooting galleries. It's becoming all but impossible to raise normal, well-adjusted kids in the septic culture our mass media is making. The 401k of the average American is constricting at an alarming rate as the stock market sinks like the Titanic. Prices of everything, even when they're on the store shelves, are skyrocketing. The airline industry, just like the trucking industry, the railroad industry, the shipping industry, and basically everything else regulated by Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Department of Transportation is collapsing while Buttigieg wages war against the racist highways, and quality of life is at a low not seen since the 1970s. Bitching about race given those circumstances is an excellent way to ensure that nobody will give a flying fuck about anything else you have to say. People are done, asshole. I'm sorry, I added a little extra inflection and verbiage in there. What is important to the Americans right now? Competence. We desperately need people who can do a good job in their professions. We have a massive shortage of that, along with virtually everything else. Disney gives Bob Chapek, who has cut the value of that company stock in half, a new contract immediately after his executive's political activism cost it $200 million a year in favorable tax treatment from the state of Florida, and has released a box of Fizzle and Buzz Lightyear with the stupid and useless virtue signal of a lesbian kiss in a movie for 4-year-olds. Ketanji Brown Jackson, who can't define what a woman is because she said she isn't a biologist, is sworn into the Supreme Court. A loudmouth idiot in the Biden administration squawks that our economic pain needs to continue so we can save the liberal world order, as though the two are at all necessarily related, and anybody in America gives a damn about world orders. Our military is getting rid of unvaccinated troops and officers while missing its recruitment targets by 60% and has lowered the intake standards basically to nothing. It runs recruitment ads featuring fat lesbians puts out press releases preening about abortions in the wake of the Dobbs decision. Meanwhile, on this 4th of July, Americans are increasingly seeing nothing to be proud of in their country. Who can blame us? 2021 and 2022 have been an endless string of humiliations. We're presided over by a mental defect who belongs in assisted living, if not prison, thanks to his lifetime of bribery and influence, peddling the proof of which was supported by a corrupt media so that he could be elected president of a country he's been selling out for decades. And the Biden administration makes a significant policy mistake multiple times a day with negative effects on our standard of quality of living. This cannot sustain. It won't sustain. The breaking point is coming, and when it does, we will have first chaos and then a new political order, a new shot at independence, if you will, to give this a bit of a 4th of July spirit. Be ready for it and be cheerful, because on the other end of this, there will be no more "This is CNN" claiming recessions are racist. You fucking morons. Okay. Anyway, what shall I finish with here? There's a story about, remember, did you see the story in the Washington Post about the teenage mom who decided not to abort her twins? They made it kind of a sob story about, she should have the opportunity to have an abortion. Well, apparently, it's not the whole story. You can read this article in Federalist, but apparently this girl what they should have told you, that it was kind of a triumph story of a girl and a guy trying to keep their shit together. But I don't have time for it, but it'll be in the tabs. Here, I'll show you here's the story is called "What the Washington Post Didn't Tell You About the Teenage Mom Who Decided Not to Abort Her Twins." Also in the tabs today, this Jewish skateboarder spoke out about women's rights, and social justice warriors responded with anti-Semitic hate. This one is so this girl who, I think she was in a skateboarding competition. I think some trans person might have beat her or something, and she was, let's see. Yeah, she spoke out against biological men participating in women's sports. And then she's kind of a self-described Zionist who rarely photographed without a Star of David necklace. Silverman wasn't surprised that online backlash quickly turned anti-Semitic, but she's a little surprised about how much of it came from her friends. So they went after her because of her Judaism, because she complained about physiological males, biological males, whatever you want to call them, starting to take hold in women's sports. And she got this terrible backlash. You can read about that one, too. In Breitbart, Joe Biden. That's what I wanted to finish with, Joe Biden's speech from Independence Day. Governor Gavin Newsom, tiresome, has launched an ad campaign urging Floridians to go to California. California Governor Gavin Newsom launched a Golden State ground attack in Florida on Monday, releasing an ad urging Sunshine State residents fed up with Republican Governor Ron DeSantis to pack their flip-flops and head west. He bought $105,000 worth of spots that began airing on Fox News in Florida, spurring chatter about a potential 2024 presidential run, especially if Joe Biden opts not to seek a second term. Good luck, Gavin. Pretty sure that Floridians are happy living in Florida anyway, so if you want to see the ad, it's pretty bad. And then let's see, in the New York Post today, also, Team Biden plans to restore Obama-era Title IX kangaroo courts. So the Trump administration kind of brought back due process to people being accused of heinous things on college campuses, and apparently the Biden administration's kind of pulling back on that. So the rules would effectively jettison the requirement that unwelcome conduct, harassment to be severe and pervasive, and instead require only that speech be sexual in nature and subjectively offensive. Also no longer require schools to provide hearings at which students could cross-examine accusers. So you cannot face your accuser if you're accused of sexually unwanted conduct. It would also allow colleges to use a single investigator to adjudicate charges by conducting private interviews with the parties who may never even get to interact or pose questions to each other. It's also going to scrap the requirement that the accused is guaranteed access to the evidence against them. So you can't even see the evidence against you if you're accused. And it's going to mandate that university officials report suspected or rumored sexual misconduct, even if the purported victim chooses not to do so. So basically, they're going to go back to their old kangaroo court standard. And I think what's the last one? Apparently, there's in the Daily Wire, the final one, former top ESPN journalist goes after China and LeBron James. If you remember Bob Lee, L-E-Y, he called out LeBron James and the NBA relationship with China during a recent interview as controversy swirls around Saudi Arabian finance LIV Golf. which is poaching golfers away from the PGA Tour. Fox News reported that Lay made remarks during an interview on Michael Beadle's podcast, What Did I Miss? Critics say that Saudi Arabia is using sports washing to boost its public image as it faces criticism over its human rights record. Well, Bob Lee also called out the NBA in China. Now, that's an interesting kind of timing effect, because now that China is also cracking down on sports people who speak out, probably won't affect Bob Lee, but it kind of would explain why LeBron James and many other players in the NBA are completely silent on certain abuses that happen in China that they probably know about but just can't say anything. So that is going to be the end of the show today. However, I do have another sponsor today. Thank you, John Money. Really? John Money, thanks for the sponsor of the show. If you know who John Money is, you kind of would know why I'm a little hesitant. Dropped a small what do you call it? A small bullet in the tip jar. It says, want to make money and look up the John Money experiment. John Money's the experiment with the twins, that they had a problem with the circumcision, so they decided to raise the one twin. They're twins, and the first twin was being circumcised, and there was something went bad, and they decided to raise that twin as a girl, and that experiment kind of turned out not so well. Although in later life, the two boys learned of the experiment, and the one transitioned back to being a boy because he never felt comfortable living as a girl, and then his twin brother committed suicide, and then later he died tragically, in a tragic way either. But their story was on Oprah Winfrey. I remember the story, but it's basically the precursor to the whole sex versus gender. And so anyway, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. It is the time that I usually try to end the show by. So before you go, hit the like button. Before you do, 26 people here, still only 19 likes. Hit the like button. Share the stream before, during, after the stream. If you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section. And if you want to sponsor the show 24 hours a day, you can do pdognight.live. And that's how that's where the Streamlabs Superstar sponsors come from. We also do super chats and Venmo, Cash App, all in the description. And I do read almost all my super chats verbatim for the most part. I very rarely have to edit because you guys are so good. Wait, what happened to Richo? Oh, was that an accident? Richo, that was an accident, apparently. I think. I'm not sure. Free street poop. California dream. Yeah. Why would you want to go from Florida to California? Gee, we'll make you wear a mask whenever we tell you to. And versus Florida, I'm free breathing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I got to go. Thanks for being here today. I'll be back tomorrow at my normal time, 10 o'clock Eastern. And I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is P Dog Night. And I'm out of here. Bye. Bye. Hey, this is P Dog Night, and thank you for watching today on the P Dog Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P Dog Night, and I'm out of here.